There's explosions, power dramas, struggles, and sand.
So much sand. But could this actually be the best sci-fi movie ever? I don't know. But we're going to talk about that as well as what the lust for power does to really all of us.
Yeah, so it's Dune 2 on this edition of the Finding Good podcast with Kevin and Milton.
All right, well, welcome back to the Finding Good podcast. So excited that you guys are with us again, and we have got an amazing movie to talk about.
Amazing.
It is Dune Part 2, a movie that I was pleasantly surprised and excited to go see. Saw the first one, wasn't really excited about it at all.
I don't know why, it was great.
It was great once I learned more about it. So we've talked about this before. We've played the Dune board game, which is so good.
Fun. What's the full name of that thing? It's
Dune.
They're not advertising, but we just
it's not like Dune the board. It's not like Spaceballs.
Elysium or
Spaceballs the board game.
Yeah,
I don't remember what it is.
Yeah, anyway, it's really good.
It's really good, and really it helped me learn the language and all the characters. And I'm like, okay, now I know what's going on. Rewatched the first movie, amazing.
Yeah,
it was really amazing. I saw more than just sand.
What's your issue with sand?
Like, there's just so much of it. Like,
there's
so much.
There's so much of a lot of things, but why sand? What's wrong with sand?
It's just boring. It just sits there and it's one color. And it's tan.
What is? Yeah, what's wrong with tan? You don't like tan?
It's abrasive. Well, yeah.
Oh my goodness. No, sand is awesome. You don't like going to the beach? You don't like the ocean and all that stuff?
I mean, the water. Yes, the water is there, and they talked about it a little bit. Like they've never seen water.
Right.
So Paul Atreides. What's his
Atreides. Get it right, man.
He's sitting. I really don't know. He's sitting on like this big giant dune.
It's called Dune. The movie is called Dune.
And he's saying, imagine all of this, but like water.
Yeah.
And she's blown away. She can't imagine that.
The greatest combination of elements is water and sand. It's a beach. It's beautiful. I grew up on the beaches in New York. I mean, it's just you just went to a vacation in Hawaii. Come on.
But if you had all water, you're drowning, and if you have all sand, you're bored. And so there we go. But speaking of water, Milton, look at these.
I don't know what's in yours. Mine is
Cafe.
Cafe. Let's do ASMR here. Like, don't slurp or slurp. It's kind of a popular thing.
This is brand new out of the case. I didn't wash it, so it tastes a little.
What? Dude, you had to at least rinse it up.
I have a styrofoam floating.
Our producer Grady told me to rinse it out before I guess he doesn't like you or something.
He didn't tell me that. Anyway, if you want one of these brand new Finding Good mugs, leave a comment down on the YouTube on this video. We'll pick one in a couple weeks and we'll ship one to you. How about that?
I like that.
Yeah,
I like that.
I won't fill it with sand.
Yes.
Maybe I will. That would actually be really good.
Now, I want a hot take right here, okay? I don't know when you're watching this, but mark this down on this date.
Okay.
I am predicting right now that Dune 2, this movie right here, will win Best Picture.
Whoa.
It will win Best Picture.
But it's making a lot of money.
What, you can't make money and win Best Picture?
No. Like, have you seen the Oscars? Like, all the Best Pictures, all the ones that I've seen and I love, never win.
Oppenheimer last year made a bunch of money and won. So this one is gonna win. I'm telling you, it has everything you can want in a movie. It's got comedy, it's got action, it's got intrigue, it's got backstabbers, it's got like the range of emotion, which is what Hollywood loves. A movie that has it all. This has it all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's certainly going to get nominated, I would assume.
Yeah. No, it's going to win.
Winning? Okay.
I'm telling you, it's going to win.
So
yes.
One of my favorite things in life is watching you be wrong. So that'll be really great.
It won't happen this time, I'm telling you.
All right.
You're gonna be surprised.
Well, so is this, you dropped something.
I dropped my microphone, sorry. Sorry, Grady.
Is this the best sci-fi movie ever? That's the question.
The best? I mean, you're putting it up against Star Wars. Right? You're putting it up against... what other great? No, Alien. You're putting it up. I mean, there's some great sci-fi out there. It's definitely up there. It's better than the original Dune. I don't know if you ever saw that from the '80s. That thing was a mess.
It looked like a train wreck from the very beginning. Well, Steven Spielberg seems to think so.
Oh, did he say so?
He called that this is the best sci-fi movie ever. And he kind of knows his stuff. I don't. So.
I've seen it twice. I'm planning on seeing it again.
Okay.
It might be my favorite sci-fi. Now, the only thing that's more intriguing to me or hit me more in the feels as a sci-fi movie was Rogue One. Rogue One to me elevated itself above all the other Star Wars movies. It was Empire Strikes Back for a while. Then I saw Rogue One. Then they were kind of tied. And then the more I've seen Rogue One, I'm like, no, this is the one right here. Is it better than Rogue One? It just doesn't have the nostalgia portion to it, like
you don't have the decades of character development.
Right. But if I just look at it as a film and what it is and the action, the adventure, the characters, it's
so standalone. It's great. Oh. I think 100% I would agree that's the best Star Wars movie. So
yeah.
I don't know enough of the sci-fi genre to really even have a logical discussion. If I even did, I would get absolutely raked.
Yeah, there's going to be some comments on this video about how dare you guys.
Right. So while you're trying to win that mug, maybe you can post on what your favorite sci-fi movie is.
Oh, that would be cool, yeah.
Maybe we can have a discussion about that later.
Love that.
We talk a lot on this podcast of just themes that we were finding. I mean, it's called the Finding Good.
Right.
So we're watching these movies and having fun, but we also try to approach them just from like just a do-good, feel-good type of mentality. What are the good themes that are coming out of this? And one that we landed on for this movie is just that ongoing lust for power.
Yes.
And I liked how you chose the word just lust, like next to power for this description.
Yeah.
Because it's like all-consuming.
Yeah. And when you look at the characters in this film, you can recognize yourself to some degree in one of them. So, you have like these, what did they call the Bene Gesserits or kind of like
you actually got that right.
Did I get that right? Yeah. Wow. So
like,
proud of myself.
Like I'm correcting a name.
Yeah, you're not. Yeah, but we find out in this movie like what they're trying to do. They're trying to kind of like purify the gene pool kind of thing. So that's what they're manipulating behind the scene because I guess they believe if they can get it just right, they can control, and they want to control the gene pool. And then you have the Emperor who wants to control the spice, right? And so he gets into this contract with the wrong people, or in his eyes, the right people. And then you have Paul and his mom trying to control the narrative of who her son is so that people will believe in him and follow him. And then Paul, of course, is trying to just control. He thinks he's trying to save people, but in the end, he finds out I have to control this more than I realize if I'm going to avoid people dying or if the right people are going to die. So it's just this weird, like just everybody's trying to pull their strings because everybody wants to not be under the control of anybody else. Yeah. That's where it gets crazy.
It does get crazy, and there's a lot going on. But that's the theme of the entire movie is moving pawns, and it's this giant chess game, and you see what power does to the main character throughout this movie. Just a very quiet, maybe not very confident young man, who really has to go into this role of leading an entire people. I mean, and saving a planet, and really, but it doesn't stop there, because he sees what is coming and he wants control over all of that. And so by the end of the movie, he's almost unrecognizable.
Yeah,
from the beginning,
he's a different person.
Yeah, and so let's talk about what we think really happened to him. Just this transformation of what this control did to him.
Yeah, it's hard to think what causes someone to make the decision to like, okay, now I'm this innocent, like I'm just trying to understand the world, I'm trying to be a part of my family, I'm trying to do the best for the people around me and my community, and now all of a sudden I'm this warrior who's trying to kill everybody, Right. But I think definitely one thing was just he was betrayed, and in that betrayal he lost. He lost his father, he lost his title, he lost almost all of his people, and when you have loss, you feel out of control, because everything you had that was constructed around you that made you feel safe is now gone. So how do you now feel better in this state of this loss? Well, you have to control it.
Do you think that's really the crux of power? Or, I mean, that's what's behind all power is control.
Oh, I don't know if it's all, no, I don't think it's for everybody that, but control is a big issue. I mean, I know one of the things I like the least is, like in the relationship with my wife, the thing that I hate the most is feeling like she's trying to control me.
Okay.
And I know that she doesn't like that either.
Right.
So the greatest moments of conflict have been when one of us feels controlled by the other. And I help a lot of couples I talk to, that's one thing, we call it partner dominance. You never want to feel that your partner's dominating you, because then you can't be fully who you are. Because now you have to learn to manipulate the situation so that you can get out from under. And what you want is partnership. You don't want, some hierarchical structure in your relationship.
Well, really, that's what we see a lot when there's this desire to just dominate and take over and get that power. You can't have partnership, really. There's no such thing.
No,
because someone has to be on top.
Yeah.
Someone has to hold that power over the people under.
Yeah.
And we really kind of talked a little bit before this podcast about what that looks like. Like it starts with ambition.
Yes.
Every time. It starts with ambition, and I have a goal and I have something that I want to achieve, no matter how small in the moment or how big. And you might realize that. It might be all planned out. You might see yourself in 5 years having this big dream or big ambition, but typically it doesn't happen like that. Typically it's just in the moment what we want now.
Yes.
And then that feels really good, and then now we're fixated on that, and it just kind of continues into that fixation.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with ambition in and of itself. It's what do you do with that ambition? And the history of humanity has always been a person or a group of people having an ambition and then executing that ambition in some way. And we talk a lot about, and it's kind of a tired argument in my opinion, sorry if that offends anybody, but just the whole like, who deserves what in the world? But the whole the history of humanity is like, I'm this group of people, I want my people to thrive, and guess what? My idea of thriving is I'm gonna go over there and take your land.
Right.
So that we can have more and we can be more, right? So that's the ambition. Which
I don't think people realize how much that is our history.
That is complete human history.
We're shocked today of like when that happens.
Right.
It's literally been happening.
And I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying that's the reality. That's somewhere inside of us. We're all trying to be more, have more. And sometimes we're willing to sacrifice someone else having more so that we can have more.
Yeah.
And we saw that in this movie. The emperor, everything was going fine. The spice was being mined, but he was like, these people over here are problematic. They're going to get in the way of my ambition. So let me get rid of these people by switching the dynamics, the political dynamics. Right. And now I've cleared the way for what I want.
Which you're talking about kind of that third step, which is achieving that goal based on domination.
Exactly.
We're gonna overtake, we're gonna get you out of the way, and we're not gonna do this together. I'm going to do this, and you're gonna get in line.
And that's every war, right? Every war is that. Like I have to, either you're trying to hurt me or I'm trying to hurt you, and I need what you have or you need what I have, and we fight for it, and whoever's left standing gets the spoils of war after much loss, much pain, tragedy over and over, and then somebody's the victor.
Right.
That's kind of the way it works, unfortunately.
Yeah, and then they hold on to all that bitterness, and it happens again in 100 years.
Right, right.
The cycle continues.
Yeah, and I think one of the things we have to be realistic about is that this is a human reality, and if it goes unchecked, we're just going to keep repeating this. And I think for a long time, ever since like World War II, we thought like, oh, like we're in a moment of peace or whatever, and we can kind of sit back. Well, guess what? The forces were we're getting ready behind the scenes, and now we're kind of in a new phase of just like warfare and people taking other people's stuff, and we're even seeing it domestically, right? We're seeing that because we've let things go unchecked, then those natural tendencies of our weak and sinful selves are going to come out, and then it's going to be pain.
And the result is pain, yes. Yeah. But I think the result also is a form of isolation. It's just literally hell for anybody.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about now you're alone and you're on your throne and nobody's around you. You can surround yourself with people who are subservients of your goal, or they are forced into just hanging out with you and doing your bidding, whatever. But really, truly, internally, it's just this cage of isolation.
Yeah.
And that's the end result when you go down this path. So,
yeah.
How do you get out of that?
Yeah, you can't have power. You can't try to have power over someone and at the same time have relationship with that person. Relationship is sacrifice. Relationship isn't power. And that's what Jesus was trying to demonstrate. See, you and I are people of faith, men of faith. We believe in Jesus. We try to practice the way of Jesus, being a disciple of Jesus. And Jesus always came to show that his way, like Paul says in Ephesians chapter 4, the way of Jesus is not the way of the world.
Right.
Jesus came to flip the world on its head. So he said things like, the last will be first. The master will be the servant, right?
Things that confuse the heck out of everybody.
Yeah, and people were like, what? Yeah. What is he talking about? Is he okay? Can somebody get him some water? It's hot out here. Yeah.
It was so anti just everything they knew.
Exactly. So Jesus is saying power isn't the way, surrender is the way. So if you think about it, like in war terms, that means like, oh, you come and attack me? Okay, take it. Like what?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Take it. And Jesus says like, hey, if somebody slaps you, like give them the other cheek. Yeah. If they ask for your jacket, give them your robe too. If they ask you to walk a mile, go the whole way. Yeah. Like it's this whole thing of
still confusing Jesus.
Yeah. Well, you know what it is? It's not confusing, Kevin. It's difficult. It's very clear. But it's almost impossible.
Yeah.
Almost impossible to do. So how do we do it? Because it's what God is calling us to do. And this movie is completely showing us not the way of Jesus.
Right.
So what is the way of Jesus? And I think, as we were talking, it starts with compassion. You have to look at people the same way God looks at people. You have to look at them with love, with compassion. The way I like to put it is go back to the Genesis story. God said, he got the Holy Spirit, he got Jesus, the three of them got together and said, let's make man in our image. That means every man. That means even you. Like you and I are in the image of Christ. Everyone who's listening to us right now is in the image of Christ. That means that everyone has the print of God on them in some way, even the worst person. So how could we look at that person with any other evaluation than you are a child of God?
Wow, yeah. Totally different way to approach ambition, to approach goals and things that I want, because you start seeing people with that compassion, and then you start considering what your actions are going to do to them.
Yes.
Versus if you're filled with ambition and fixation and domination, you don't care about what the consequences are for those around you,
right?
Because you're going after it. So I like this filter that you're putting on through Jesus's instructions to have compassion and consideration for the people around you before you even begin going down that road of chasing.
Yeah, and then because I think what we're ultimately saying is if we do this right, it's going to increase our community. So that means it's you going to the person, you seeing who they are, you understand what their situation is, what your decisions have, what effect your decisions have on them, and then you say like, hey, let's do this together. I have an ambition, but it doesn't have to negate who you are. It doesn't have to be disconnected from you. Can we walk this journey together? So like when I said to you, I would love to do a podcast about film and about finding interesting themes in film, I could have just said, let me do it.
Sure.
Right? And you would have been like, or you're doing it, right? But then we said, hey, how about we get Grady in on this, our producer, how about we do this together? And it just becomes a better product in the end because we do it together.
Yeah, it's collaboration.
Yeah.
And that's the end result, is that you're working together. This movie would have been super boring if it would have done that. It was like, hey, we have spice, let's all get together and share it in the movie.
Right. And then everyone's around the table eating, and just like laughing, and I mean, it would have felt good, but it would have been 5 minutes.
So I guess that's the question: is this the boring way? It's no fun. I mean, that would be someone like, well, kumbaya. That sounds great. Is that reality? Is that possible?
It's not boring. It's more fulfilling. Like the result is fulfilling. Maybe the process doesn't have explosions and worms in it, sandworms. Yeah. But you know what? When you're with someone and you're both growing and you're seeing people thriving in community, you just look back and you'll be like, man, this is good. This feels great. And people's lives are changed. That's ultimately what we're here for.
I guess you do get to skip over the drama, which is fun in a 2-hour action-packed movie when you're sitting in the theater. Drama is not fun in life.
Oh no, please.
Like if you can reduce the drama and things blowing up all around you,
that would be great.
It's probably a better life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's the takeaway. Let's do it.
And I like this theme of collaboration. We're going to continue this as we talk about our next movie, which we don't do this, but I'm going to go ahead and do it. We're talking about Ghostbusters next.
Okay.
It's this idea of teaming up and collaborating together. It's a theme that seems to weave into where we are going next with one of our favorite movies of this summer.
That's going to be a fun discussion. So there you go.
Come on back. It's the Find a Good Podcast. Remember to like, subscribe, and if you want one of these bad boys, hopefully styrofoam free, you can leave a comment. In a couple weeks, we'll choose a winner and ship it to you. There you go. Thanks for joining.